くお願いします。本日はですね、今年度第2回のJUNBAの勉強会に皆様ご参加していただきましてありがとうございます。JUNBAの会長の三宅でございます。会長の挨拶なんですけど、この後ですね、JUNBAの詳細の説明に関しては、中別府センター長の方からお話しいただきますし、私とスコット先生が今回の勉強会の幹事をさせていただいているんですけれども、簡単な背景というものもこの後少しご説明させていただきますので、あまり会長が長々とご挨拶するのも時間の無駄なので、この後引き続き、進めていきたいと思います。今日は皆様ご参加ありがとうございました。本日よろしくお願いいたします。
会長ありがとうございました。続きまして、JUNBA事務局長の中別府優作より、JUNBAの概要についてご紹介させていただきます。
皆さん、こんにちは。おはようございます。JUNBA事務局長を務めております。JSPS サンフランシスコオフィスの中別府でございます。私の方からは、JUNBAの概要について説明させていただきます。JUNBAの正式名称は Japanese University Network in the Bay Area サンフランシスコベイエリア大学間連携ネットワークで2006年に発足いたしました。主に米国西海岸に拠点を置く大学を中心に組織されている団体でございます。JUNBAは米国内に拠点を持つ日本の大学間の連携を図り、日本の大学の国際化、国際的人材の育成、産学連携などの諸活動を支援し、日本及び米国における教育、研究の発展と産業創出に寄与することを目的として設立されております。JUNBAの主な活動内容としましては、理事会を毎月開催し、JUNBA主催のセミナーやシンポジウムについて検討を企画するとともに、各大学が行うイベントについても情報を共有しております。さらにアドバイザーとして参加していただいている在サンフランシスコ日本国総領事館からも国際情勢及び各種イベントなどの情報を提供いただいております。なお、JUNBA会員に加入いただきますと、理事会の承認を経て、オブザーバーとして理事会に参加いただくことは可能となっております。また、随時、JUNBA会員の皆様には、イベントなどの情報をメールやホームページでお知らせしております。コロナ以前におきましては、アソシエーション・オブ・インターナショナル・エデュケーターズ、略称 NAFSA や、アメリカン・カウンシル・オン・ザ・ティーチング・オブ・フォーリン・ランゲージ、略称 ACTFL に参加するとともに、日本への留学説明会に各校で協力してブースを出展するなど、国内外の大学との連携強化に努めてまいりました。また、大規模なシンポジウムなどを開催し、日米の教育や大学の国際化等について学ぶ機会を提供してまいりました。写真はコロナ禍直前の2020年1月10日にサンフランシスコで開催したシンポジウムの際の様子です。この時のテーマは、大学を変えるファンドレイジング、米国から学ぶリーダーシップと同創生を中心としたコミュニティ作りでした。これまでにスライドに示す11回のシンポジウムを開催しております。コロナ禍の最中におきましても、昨年度から日本のすべての国立、公立、私立大学の皆さんに参加を呼びかけ、今回のようなセミナーをオンラインで年2回開催しております。次に、JUNBAの組織についてご説明いたします。JUNBAの会員は大学の拠点関係者、または学術関連団体関係者、さらに本会の目的に賛同し、その事業に積極的に参加し、活動する個人及び団体で構成されています。現在、米国内に拠点を持つ正会員は13団体、米国内に拠点を持たない準会員は6団体、個人会員は33名となっております。会費は無料となっておりますので、関心をお持ちの方は随時、事務局までご連絡ください。以上の会員に加えまして、在サンフランシスコ日本国総領事、ジェトロサンフランシスコ事務所所長、 スタンフォード大学アジア米国技術経営研究センター所長の3名の方にもアドバイザーをお願いしております。なお、在サンフランシスコ日本国総領事には本会の最高顧問として名誉アドバイザーをお願いしているところでございます。最後になりますが、日本学振興会サンフランシスコ研究連絡センターがJUNBA事務局を務めております。JUNBAに関して不明な点、ご質問などがございましたら、私どもの方までお気軽にお問い合わせください。私からの説明は以上となります。
中ベック事務局長、ありがとうございました。それでは会長の三宅並びに、理事のノースより本セミナーのテーマについて背景のご説明をいたします。
はい、背景説明を、会長の三宅がさせていただきます。よろしくお願いします。次お願いします。まずですね、今日の、ご講演をいただいている趣旨なんですけれども、アメリカのですね、SDGs の、取り組みをですね、アメリカの大学に教えていただきたいということで、企画をしております。で、その中で SDGs をですね、取り組み、皆さんの大学でもいろいろされたり、また見聞きしてると思うんですけれども、一つの、まとめ方として、アメリカの大学の方で、ボランティアリーユニバーシティレビューというものがあるので、大学の自己評価として SDGs に対して取り組みをどう行っているのか、それについて、UC デイビスのですね、お二人から詳しく教えてもらおうというような形にしております。次お願いします。今回参加者の方を見てますとですね、今たくさん参加者のところ、表記されてきてはいるんですけれども、国際の方々とかですね、国際連携進めておられる日本の方、アメリカの方、いろんな方が参加しておりますが、もう釈迦に説法的にアメリカで言うと、老人におしゃぶりのやり方を教えるとか言いますけど、国際連携 SDGs のことはもう皆さんご存知なのであまり説明する必要性はないのかもしれないんですけど、まずは日本の取り組みとしてですね、どういう形でやってるかっていうようなことを、最初ちょっとJUNBAの理事たちで調べておりまして、これは下に国連アカデミックインパクト U というホームページから引用してるんですけれども、複数の大学がですね、SDGs の取り組みを、どういうふうにしてるかっていうようなコンソーシアムというような形で2010年の11月に、国連の事務総長のイニシアチブによってですね、U が、されているということなので、詳しくはホームページ見ていただくとしまして、次の、スライドに行っていただいて、そこの活動ではですね、取り組みの原則として、原則1から10というものを示されてまして、その中のどのものかの項目、もしくは全てに対して日本の大学が取り組む覚悟があるのであれば、この U 内に入るというような形で、先端大も入ってるんですけれども、入って、自分たちの SDG の活動を U 内のホームページで広く発信するというようなことをしております。でそれに対して次のスライドですけれども、もう一つの、コンソーシアムとして、持続可能な開発ソリューションネットワーク SDSN というものがありまして、こちらは2012年の8月に、国連事務総長が設立を発表しましたコンソーシアムで、こちらの方もこういう目的で、ホームページがございますが、そちらから引用してます。日本の大学としても入っておられる、また企業の方も入っておられるというような形になります。で、次のスライドに行っていただいて、活動目的はこちらにあるように、加盟機関は、こちらの方は大学だけではなく企業とか他の NPO 団体も含めて入っておりまして、SDGs に関係するような活動をしているというような形です。次行きます。で、次にですね、今日メインのテーマとなるボランティアリーユニバーシティレビューというものがどういうものかということなんですけど、こちらはですね、SDGs の活動をいろいろした場合にですね、自分で活動を振り返る、いわゆるセルフチェックをかけるというような形で、レビューを行うというようなものです。で、今日はですね、UC デイビスのご紹介をいただくんですが、このボランティアリーユニバーシティレビューという事故を振り返るというレビューはですね、いろんな形で行われてまして、まず政府が、自己振り返りする場合の VNR、で自治体が、 それぞれ振り返る場合、で、今回の大学が振り返る場合ということで、いろいろと各国、自治体、それから大学というものがユニバーシティレビュー、ボランタリーレビューをですね、出しているという形です。で、次のスライドに行っていただいて、大学の方はですね、こちら法政大学さんのボランタリーユニバーシティレビューをホームページから引用してますが、法政大学さんのレポートというような形で、こちらのホームページでも公開されてますが、日本の大学でも別に UC デイビスだけじゃなくてですね、ユニバーシティのレビューを行われているということで、下の部分を見ていただいたら分かるように、法政大学さんの場合は、社会貢献と SDGs、研究と SDGs、教育と SDGs ということで、2021年のレポートがこちらの PDF に入って、PDF というかホームページ上に公開されています。次行ってください。でですね、今申し上げた最初のところで自治体がレビューしている、でから市町村がレビューしている、大学がレビューしているというような形で、さっきのスライドでは自治体の方は表紙だけですけども、ニュージーランドのもの、でから都市でいうと豊田市のものっていうような形で表紙、写真を撮ってましたけども、こちらにですね、まとめたいいホームページがありまして、公益財団法人の地球環境戦略研究機関というところのホームページを見ていただくと、各ですね、今申し上げた、例えば自治体のレビュー、それから、大学のレビューであったり、あとはその各市町村ですね、東京とか横浜とかっていうような形、それから世界の他の都市ですね、そういうもののレビューがまとめてリンクがこのホームページ上に貼られているので、こういうところを見に行っていただくと、各市を比較する、各国を比較するっていうようなことの有効な形なのかなと思っています。以上、こういう背景で説明させていただいて、日本の状態はこういう状況とユニバーシティレビューについて、簡単にご説明させていただきまして、次はですね、ノース先生の方からいよいよアメリカの方のユニバーシティレビューというような形で少し問題の提起をしていただくというような形になります。ノース先生、お願いします。
はい。皆さん、こんにちは。大阪大学、北米拠点のノースと申します。今日は雪が降っている大阪の方から、手短な問題提起を述べさせていただきます。日本における UN SDGs の関連活動が活発になっていることは言うまでもありません。先ほど三宅会長の方からありましたように、企業や学校など、あらゆる場においてですね、全国の取り組みとして国民の意識を高める試みが見られています。2025年に大阪で開催される予定の世界博覧会においても、国連の SDGs が基本原理になっています。つまり、Sustainability、持続可能なというキーワードを中心に、日本の未来施策が地球の生命や国民の快適な生活を支えるために様々な取り組みが進められてきました。米国においても持続可能な開発についてある程度の話があります。例えば、スタンフォード大学にサステイナビリティ学科が創立されました。UN SDGs ではなく、スタンフォード独自のユニークな取り組みが強調され、グリーンやカーボンニュートラルがキーワードになっています。こうした既得な動きが、あるが、調べる限りはですね、スタンフォードは UN SDGs の包括的なアプローチは言及されていません。それはなぜでしょうか。日本ほどアメリカの大学における SDGs 中心の活動がこれからの発達していくものではないかというふうには思いますけれども、いかがでしょうか。世界のリードをする米国の大学教育機関には、直接的な SDGs のエンゲージメントが薄いようですが、 先端大学として SDGs の完成度を測る Voluntary University Review を執行した大学が2校あります。その一つはカリフォルニア大学デイビス校です。アメリカにおける SDGs 最先端を知るために、そしてどのように SDGs を中心にサステイナビリティを取り組んできたのを理解するために、UC デイビスのVUR 聴者、そしてその大学全体の取り組みを代表する2人の方に本日の講演をお願いしました。大変お忙しい中でご快諾いただきまして、有意義な勉強する機会が期待されます。どうぞよろしくお願いいたします。
背景のご説明ありがとうございました。引き続き講演に移ります。講師は University of California Davis Global Affairs Director of Global Engagements のジョリーン・シューメイカー氏および Director of Sustainability and Campus Sustainability Planner のカミール・カーク氏です。なお、質疑応答は講演終了後にまとめて行いますのでご了承ください。The lecturers are Ms. Jolynn Shoemaker, Director of Global Engagements, Global Affairs, University of California Davis, and Ms. Camille Kirk, Director of Sustainability and Campus Sustainability Planner, University of California Davis. So now please give your attention to Director Shoemaker and Director Kirk.
Hello.
Thank you.
My name is Jolynn Shoemaker, and my colleague Camille Kirk. We've both been introduced already, so thank you. And we want to just thank the JUNBA team for inviting us to this session today, and to Scott North, who we've been working with for a few months for organizing and inviting us, the entire team there. So thank you. Next slide. So this is our presentation overview for today. We will, after a short overview about UC Davis's and our offices and roles, we will discuss with you all today the importance of the SDGs to our campus, some examples of our strategies and approaches to integrate the SDGs into university activities, including information on the Voluntary University Review that we led for the university. We will conclude with some highlights about emerging areas and future directions for our campus. And then we look forward to the opportunity to engage in discussion with all of you. Next slide.
Thank you, Jolynn. And I would like to add my thanks to JUNBA for inviting us to present to you today. We are looking forward to sharing our approach to the UN Sustainable Development Goals through a unique partnership that we've built. First, I will give some background information about the University of California, or UC, and our campus, UC Davis. Next slide, please. The University of California, or UC, is a public comprehensive higher education and research institution with 10 campuses, 6 academic health centers, and 3 national laboratories. The UC improves the lives of people in California and around the world through world-class educational opportunities, groundbreaking research, top-rated healthcare, and agricultural expertise. Next slide, please. UC Davis is located in Northern California, near the state capital of Sacramento and San Francisco in the Great Central Valley, which is an important region of agricultural production. Our reach goes far beyond our Davis campus. Sacramento is home to the UC Davis Hospital and our schools of medicine and nursing. The Bodega Marine Laboratory is a leading multidisciplinary research engine for solving complex coastal ecosystem problems. The Tahoe Environmental Research Center is engaged in research and outreach to preserve a resilient and sustainable ecosystem at Lake Tahoe. We also have our new Aggie Square project, a major innovation center that will deepen ties between our state's capital and UC Davis, encouraging innovation, investment, education, and research collaborations of all kinds. Next slide, please. Opened in 1908, UC Davis is the most academically comprehensive university on the West Coast of the United States. We serve nearly 39,000 students, and we are a powerful economic engine for our region and state, generating $8.1 billion in economic activity annually. We are a large campus with over 2,000 hectares of land and nearly 1.9 million square meters of built space, much of which is high energy and high water using lab and medical space. Next slide, please.
Global Affairs, a unit where I work at UC Davis, is where I work to support SDG efforts as well as strategic initiatives for the Vice Provost and Dean. We like to say that Global Affairs brings the world to UC Davis, welcoming more than 10,000 international students, scholars, and leaders, and hosting programs that inspire global curiosity, understanding, and engagement. Global Affairs supports thousands of students and faculty learning and researching globally. We facilitate collaborations that tackle the world's most pressing challenges through more than 150 global partnerships, and we host a variety of academic programs and partnerships. Global Affairs also leads the campus goal of global education for all. It is a goal aiming to provide 100% of all of our undergraduate, graduate, and professional students with global learning opportunities to change their lives and the world. Our Global Learning Hub supports our students in finding global learning opportunities available on campus, in the region, and across all 7 continents. Next slide.
Sustainability at UC Davis has a long history connected to our academic and public service work. Dedicated staff at UC Davis and UC Davis Health have helped expand campus sustainability through long-term planning, implementation, assessment, and engagement work. UC Davis Sustainability is the lead office for campus sustainability efforts. Our role is to demonstrate leadership by providing vision, direction, and support for sustainability in all its dimensions at UC Davis. We foster connections by coordinating across campus departments, build relationships and institutional capacity, and help link research efforts to campus operations. And we work to create a culture of sustainability through performance assessment and engagement and outreach programs. Next slide, please. Our partnership between global affairs and sustainability is novel and unique. We know of very few other examples of these units collaborating at other American universities. The third member of our partnership is the Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion Office. For all of our units, collaboration is a core philosophy and approach. We have deliberately and strategically partnered together to build a common narrative, to advance the 2030 agenda of the Sustainable Development Goals, and to leverage partnerships and relationships that our individual units have built in order to collectively amplify our messages and support our missions. This partnership exemplifies the spirit of the SDGs. As I like to say, we cannot have a healthy planet without justice and equity for all people, and we cannot have justice and equity for all people without a healthy planet. They are intertwined and interdependent. Next slide, please.
Now we would like to share some of the reasons that UC Davis has made the 2030 agenda a priority. Next slide. The first reason why the 2030 agenda is important at UC Davis is because our university is designated as a land-grant university. Land-grant universities were created by an act of Congress during the American Civil War, and the University of California is part of this. The land-grant universities were intended to provide a broad segment of the population with a practical education that had direct relevance to their daily lives. The land-grant universities have an extension mission, engaging in research that addresses society's economic, political, and social problems. Then the universities share this learning with the public for shared solutions. The land-grant mission resonates closely with the environmental, economic, and social elements of the SDGs, and also promotes the 2030 Agenda core principle of leave no one behind. Next slide, please. The second reason why the 2030 Agenda is important for UC Davis is its alignment with our recognized strengths as a university. As a major research institution, we are addressing all 17 SDGs. UC Davis has a long tradition of interdisciplinary approaches and a structure that supports this. Interdisciplinary work is essential for achieving the SDGs. Thus, we already have a foundation for integrating the SDGs into our existing work and finding new ways to leverage our interdisciplinary mechanisms to do more work on the SDGs. UC Davis is globally recognized for its expertise in agriculture and veterinary medicine, and these support multiple SDGs. In addition, UC Davis continues to receive recognition for its efforts on campus sustainability, diversity and inclusion, and internationalization. This positions UC Davis to address environmental and global dimensions while focusing on leave no one behind and the promotion of equality and human rights. Next slide, please. In 2018, UC Davis released its current campus strategic plan titled To Boldly Go. The plan includes 5 goals. Although the plan itself does not specifically reference the SDGs, each of the 5 goals has a clear connection to the SDGs. For example, the first goal relates to the preparation of students to address the needs and challenges in the world. The second goal is focused on research in support of a healthy planet and well-being of its inhabitants. The third goal supports no one leave behind, gender equality and human rights. The fourth goal promotes partnerships at all levels, so it supports SDG 17 directly. The fifth goal creates spaces and opportunities to extend our research outside of the university. This plan gives UC Davis an important strategic foundation for our SDG activities. UC Davis is about to release its first campus global strategic plan. This plan does specifically reference the SDGs, global challenges, and grand challenges. It expands on the goals here in To Boldly Go to support UC Davis global activities in each of these 5 areas. Finally, Camille is leading an effort to infuse the SDGs into an updated campus sustainability plan and other sustainability strategies, which she will discuss more in this presentation. Next slide. Very briefly, we wanted to put our SDG efforts at UC Davis into the broader context of higher education. In the US context, there is increasing interest in the SDGs. US universities are getting involved in global networks that promote the SDGs. However, it is still small numbers of U.S. universities that are engaged in intentional efforts to advance the SDGs. Often, the activities at U.S. universities are developed by individual champions who are personally committed to the 2030 agenda, but there are few models and not a lot of mainstreaming across their campuses. It is essential to have institutional support at the top levels of the university to effectively integrate the SDGs and make a lasting impact on this agenda. The good news is there are a lot of opportunities for creativity and innovation. Higher education has a critical role to play. Next slide. We will now share with you some of the key strategies and approaches that we have used at UC Davis to advance the SDGs. Next slide. Here at UC Davis, we have focused on 4 main strategies to advance the SDGs on our campus. The first, engagement. Activities that raise awareness of the 2030 agenda and the involvement of faculty, staff, and students in this work. The second, a student focus, developing programs that enable our students to engage with the SDGs and become experts on this agenda. Third, collaboration. A central element of our approach is collaboration with campus partners, with local partners, and with global partners. And fourth, assessment. We are developing ways to track our efforts and to use data to improve our efforts. Next slide, please. Engagement. This slide shows some of the mechanisms we have used to increase understanding and engagement on the SDGs on campus. We have surveyed faculty, staff, and students. We have planned campus events on the SDGs. During the COVID-19 pandemic, global affairs, sustainability, and diversity, equity, and inclusion hosted 3 SDG forums for our campus. They were virtual events to share projects and recognize the efforts of our champions. We have also designed a variety of new SDG programs, including faculty grants, student internships, and courses. We have set up new ways to share information through newsletters and targeted emails with opportunities. And storytelling is a very important way that we share inspiring stories of how members of our campus community are addressing the SDGs and inspire others to also take action. Next slide, please. Student focus. As an educational institution, it is imperative that we develop ways for our students to learn how to work collaboratively to advance these global goals. We have developed specific programs that provide these opportunities, including the SDG internship program for undergraduate UC Davis students to gain experience working on SDG projects with global affairs and partners. The summer courses, such as Becoming a Global Professional and Becoming a Global Collaborator courses. These courses integrate the SDGs. The Global Collaborator course allows students to learn about the history of the global goals and their key principles, and to work in teams and individually to understand a local or a global issue and how it might be addressed using the SDG framework. Camille, did you want to say?
Yes. The Green Initiative Fund, or TGIF, is a student fee-funded grant program open to anyone at UC Davis, student, faculty, and staff, to propose a sustainability project for funding. The grant application form requires all applicants to indicate and explain which of the 17 SDGs their proposed project is connected with. Next slide, please.
As was mentioned, collaboration is a central tenet of our work. because we cannot achieve sustainable development without bringing many perspectives, expertise areas, and approaches together. We continue to forge partnerships with campus units and groups that share our commitment. This allows us to accomplish more than we could alone, and it brings multiple dimensions to our work. We already mentioned the unique collaboration among global affairs, sustainability, and diversity, equity, and inclusion. We are constantly engaged in dialogue and project collaboration with other units and groups on campus. We also view our SDG commitment as a way to build more impactful collaborations with university partners. Increasingly, university partners from around the world are approaching UC Davis to engage in joint work on the SDGs. We are actively involved in global networks, and I saw several of them discussed earlier: University Global Coalition, UN Sustainable Development Solutions Network, and UN Academic Impact, and others. We are deepening our work with these networks. One example is that UC Davis leads an SDG 2 Zero Hunger consortium with 4 other universities around the world as part of the University Global Coalition. The consortium is hosting an international student challenge right now and is planning for faculty research collaborations in the near future. This work continues to support our intersectional thinking and leverages multiple university assets. Next slide, please. One other example of how we are facilitating collaborations on the SDGs is through our grants for advancing the Sustainable Development Goals, which are our 2 units launched with diversity, equity, and inclusion 4 years ago. This program now includes another partner on campus, the new UC Davis initiative on Grand Challenges. These grants are designed to support UC Davis faculty who pursue collaborations that are interdisciplinary. The grants are required to include 2 UC Davis faculty members from different departments, and they are designed to support collaborations that are global. Each grant must also be co-led by an international partner with UC Davis. The grants can address any combination of SDGs. They must integrate concepts of both environmental and social sustainability, and also diversity, equity, and inclusion. The grants can fund a variety of activities such as workshops, seminars, speaker series, knowledge sharing, or trainings. Next slide.
The Voluntary University Review, or VUR, is another example of the way we are using our unique partnership that links campus environmental sustainability, social sustainability, and internationalization efforts. The VUR is a downscaled version of a voluntary national review, and our VUR is, as far as we know, only the 2nd in the United States and one of few in the world. The VUR provides information on UC Davis activities in support of all 17 of the SDGs along 4 different pillars: research, teaching, service, and operations. In our VUR, we have documented and categorized existing efforts taking place across campus by each of the 17 goals, with each goal discussed in its own chapter of the report. We have framed our efforts as local, national, and international. The VUR also includes a section on key findings and next steps. We drew upon a variety of qualitative and quantitative sources, which we'll discuss further. Next slide, please. Why did we conduct this kind of assessment? We wanted to create a framework for identifying areas for further impact and to drive campus change. We wanted to strengthen our institutional commitment to global goals by connecting campus actions and strategic plans to the SDGs. We wanted to demonstrate accountability, and we wanted to map our efforts to help our faculty, students, and staff know who at UC Davis was working on projects related to which goals, so that we can enable more collaboration and more interdisciplinary work. Next slide, please. UC Davis completed its first voluntary university review on the SDGs in September 2021 after over 12 months of preparation and significant campus collaboration. This graphic shows the different stages that were part of this process, and these stages were overlapping. For example, gathering campus input continued until the very end. It was a process that took more than a year of sustained campus partnership and was successfully completed in the midst of the pandemic and all of the challenges the pandemic presented. The process hinged on a shared commitment by our three offices, Global Affairs, Sustainability, and Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion, that partnered for this effort. From spring 2020, when we first started thinking about embarking on a VUR, through the final stage in fall 2021, we met and we talked regularly. The partnership that brought together international, environmental, and diversity concerns is unique among universities working on the SDGs, and it gave us much more of a holistic and integrated view about UC Davis's connections with the SDGs. We hope to bring in additional campus partners as the SDG data and tracking efforts continue. For example, we are already working with our Public Scholarship and Engagement Office, which will begin tagging some of the local campuses' local engagement efforts to the SDGs and doing that crosswalk. Next slide, please. For stakeholder input, we used many different ways of reaching our campus community. You've heard of some of them, and I'll elaborate a bit more. Here are key examples. Global Affairs developed an online survey instrument, the SDG Activity Platform, to collect self-reported information on SDG work being done on campus and around the world by UC Davis faculty, staff, and students. A letter co-signed by our Vice Provost and Dean of Global Affairs, our Vice Chancellor of Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion, and our Director of Sustainability, was sent out to all members of the Academic Senate and Federation, urging our faculty and Federation members to fill out the survey. We sent a similar letter to student clubs and student organizations. Our three offices invited faculty, staff, students, and other campus affiliates to join coffee hours on the SDGs over Zoom to share about their work contributing towards the Sustainable Development Goals, connect and engage with others, and learn more about new opportunities, including the VUR. And as you heard earlier from Jolynn, we held quarterly SDG forums focused on stimulating a UC Davis community of practice to collaborate and help chart a course for campus commitment to the SDGs. Next slide, please. UC Davis files a performance assessment under STARS, which is the Sustainability Tracking, Assessment, and Rating System. We had completed a brand new report in March 2020, and it was an important source of our data for our VUR, especially for our operations sections. STARS has a crosswalk to the UN SDGs to show which sections and credits in the STARS performance assessment system are matched to the relevant SDGs. This crosswalk was a big help to us. For JUNBA universities, you may find that your university can utilize data reported into the Japanese equivalent of STARS, the Assessment System for Sustainable Campuses, which was developed by Hokkaido University and adopted by the Campus Sustainability Network in Japan. Next slide, please. The VUR was an important step for UC Davis in its SDG commitment and efforts. The VUR has strengthened institutional commitment to global goals by connecting campus actions and strategic plans to them. The VUR is a process and a product that demonstrates how to apply the SDG framework to university activities and to drive campus change. We have been using the VUR both externally and internally to advance the SDGs at UC Davis. Externally, we have found that an increasing number of universities are seeking best practices and models for how they can track SDG efforts. The VUR has also been a useful tool for international partnerships as it provides external institutions with more information on UC Davis activities that align with each SDG. Existing and potential partners have been able to see current areas of work and where there might be opportunities to pursue joint efforts. This has assisted the process for expanding our international partnerships. Internally, the VUR has become a resource for students to learn about UC Davis activities on topics that they care about, and as a starting point to get involved in campus efforts. Faculty have been able to share the VUR with their students. Next slide, please. The final VUR is available on this webpage, vur.ucdavis.edu. The entire report can be accessed, or specific chapters and SDG sections can be accessed separately. Next slide, please.
We want to conclude this presentation by sharing some emerging areas of work. This includes both opportunities and challenges. Many other universities are also examining these areas of work and determining the approaches that might work for their campuses. Next slide, please. For universities moving beyond ad hoc or single projects that include the SDGs to a campus-wide approach is not always easy. Here are some areas we are working on: data collection and information sharing. Universities, including UC Davis, have data that is dispersed across campus. This continues to be a challenge for universities to track activities and progress on the SDGs. The VUR was an important step in utilizing data that we already had and aligning that data to the SDGs. This has also given us some ideas for other areas where we could implement SDG tagging in the future. This requires more outreach, awareness raising, and collaborations with additional offices that collect the relevant data. Strategic plans call for data collection and tracking, and this is also an opportunity for us and for other universities to further integrate the SDGs. Secondly, student engagement. We conducted the first VUR process during COVID-19, and students were not on campus. This made it very challenging to fully involve students or to gather their perspectives. Since the VUR was completed, we have been intentionally working on expanding student engagement opportunities. Our SDG interns have mapped out student clubs and which SDGs they are working on, and are reaching out to students through surveys and conversations about the SDGs. The interns also developed the first UC student guide to the SDGs, which shares many ways, practical ways, that the students can get involved on campus and in their community. Third, partnerships and outreach. We continue to explore partnerships and ways that we can reach additional communities on campus in our surrounding area and region and globally. These efforts can be time-consuming. They require a lot of attention, but they are fundamentally important to moving forward on this agenda. And fourth, integrating the global goals into campus strategies and plans. As we mentioned, we are working on this with the campus Global Strategic Plan and the campus sustainability plans. These and other campus strategies and plans are often developed by committees and include many different perspectives. Not everyone on the committees is familiar with the 2030 agenda and the SDGs. And so often this is an opportunity for us to engage in more awareness raising so that colleagues across the university understand the relevance. Next slide.
UC Davis has a campus advisory committee on sustainability, and we are infusing the SDGs into this committee in a couple of different ways. First, we have a specific charge to the committee to help advance our campus engagement with the UN SDGs. Second, we are incorporating the SDGs into campus sustainability plans, including a new fossil fuel-free pathway plan for UC Davis. Next slide, please. The fossil fuel-free pathway plan for UC Davis seeks to define possible pathways to eliminating 95% of our fossil fuel use in campus operations. This plan is underway right now, and it will be the first in the University of California and one of few to be this comprehensive of any higher education institution in the United States. The plan is a collective effort among operational stakeholders, faculty, and students, and will incorporate climate and environmental justice and relevant SDGs. We know we can find technological solutions to our problems, but those solutions will not be adopted or persist if we do not have engaged people actively and inclusively working in consensus to make change that endures. We can do this, but we must do it together. We think this is an important message of the UN SDGs and one that we are building into our campus work. Thank you again for inviting us to present, and we look forward to discussing our presentation material with you. Next slide, please.
Thank you very much. Camille and I look forward to the questions and comments that you have and our discussion.
Thank you so much, Director Shoemaker and Director Kirk. It is a pleasure to hear you talk. それでは質疑応答に移ります。質疑応答につきましては、逐次通訳にて対応させていただきます。以降、Zoom の通訳機能をオフにして進行いたしますのでご了承ください。なお、Q&A 機能はご使用いただけません。ご質問の際は Zoom 上で挙手をいただき、ミュート解除されましたら、名前とご所属を発言の上、日本語で簡潔にご質問をお願いいたします。では、これより三宅先生と野先生、進行をお願いいたします。
はい、ありがとうございます。こちらからですね、質疑応答の方は、ノース・スコット理事と、三宅の方が進めさせていただきます。まず、会場というか、お聞きの皆さんから、ご質問、もしくはコメントみたいなものがありましたら、Zoom 機能の挙手でお願いしておりますので、よろしくお願いします。どなたかありましたらお願いします。なかなか初めなので、質問がちょっと躊躇するかもしれませんが、せっかくの機会ですのでお願いします。 ではちょっとまずはじめに私の方から一つお聞きしたいと思います。では通訳をお願いします。
はい。
ま
So
ず
first
私
one, I have a question from my side. Maybe it's the ice-breaking for everyone to ask questions that are difficult. I will start first.
はい、4つのキーストラテジーで、キャンパスのサーベイをしているとありました。そのサーベイの結果で何か興味深いものというものはありましたでしょうか？
Okay, so within the four key strategy, and I think there's a contents elaborate Canvas survey. So during the Canvas survey, is there any interesting topics that you discovered?
I can start and then Camille add on. One of the interesting things for us was that many of over 50% of our survey respondents, most of them were faculty, did identify that their work inside the United States, their research and work inside the United States was relevant and contributing to the SDGs. And this was very important because we know that UC Davis is very active globally. The survey also showed that we were working on the SDGs on every continent with partners. But it was very interesting to see that many of our faculty saw the relevance of the SDGs for local research and teaching and service efforts that they were doing. So that was one thing that we found very interesting. Camille, if you want to add.
I think the other thing I'll add is that to my surprise, people reported on all 17 of the goals. And I think based on what we know about our faculty research efforts, I don't think we were expecting all 17 to be identified. So that was very interesting, and it showed that people had thought about the goals and thought about the interconnections among the different goals and how those connected into their research and service and teaching efforts. So that was very interesting for me.
Thank you. はい。そうですね。こちら、サーベイの行った結果なんですけれども、とても一番興味深かったのが、50%、サーベイ 50% に答えてくださった教員の皆さんですね。その教員の皆さんから、もらった材料なんですけれども、現在も17つのゴールに対して、すべて皆さんがすでに、現在のそのサービス、現在のプログラムの設計だったり教えることに対して、すべても取り組んでいるということがとってもびっくりだそうです。で、もうこちらも大学はこれからその SDG に対しての取り組みを推進していかないといけないかと思っているんですけども、すでにインターナルでも実際コミュニケーション、コネクションを構築されていて、もう実際教員の皆さんが行っている研究リサーチにもう17つのゴールとも精力的にもう取り組んでいるということはとってもびっくりですね。はい、以上です。
はい、ありがとうございます。50% 以上の教員が答えてくれたっていうのはとても驚いています。それだけ関心が高いのかなという形ですね。はい。
Yes, thank you very much. I'm also really surprised that more than 50% of faculty has contributed into the survey, and that represented how much interest that everyone has to SDGs.
あと大きなSDGs の問題としてサーベイで聞くことはよくわかるんですが、もう一つの質問としてですね、大学の中の小さな問題というか、キャンパスで発見された、SDGs に関する問題点みたいなものが、改善点みたいなものがありましたら教えていただきたいんですけれども。
Okay, so now I have the next question is, I do understand the questions, the narrative to SDGs, it can be comprehensive question that they can answer. But however, within the scope and canvas, is there any interesting discovery, like find in Canvas and small topics, not the large topics in terms of SDGs, but small things that you've discovered, or maybe in any activities on Canvas related with SDGs?
Well, one thing that I think the voluntary university reviews do, ours and others, other efforts to track this and put the data into one place under the SDG framework, is that it really gives the university the opportunity to see different activities together in new ways that probably would not connect otherwise, because they are contributing to the same SDGs. We see a different picture of our university activities than when we look at activities by university unit or institute or college or school. We're looking more across. So it gives an opportunity to also connect, to become more aware of all the different activities that are going on, but also to connect to them and hopefully, we hope, facilitate more campus partnerships as well with those common interest areas. So that is one thing that I think was really interesting and important. Camille?
I think I'll add that when we held the coffee hours that were online, so they were like Zoom office hours or just informal ways for people to come and share. So I found it super interesting how people told their stories, the narratives, the way that they explained what they were working on and put it into the frame of the SDGs. That was very interesting. I liked hearing the way that individual people would verbalize their narratives about their work. I thought it added often a very human dimension. They would talk sometimes about why it was very important or meaningful to them, the work that they were doing and how it connected to the SDGs. And I learned about things happening at UC Davis that I didn't know were happening. So that was also fun.
今、答えてくださったんですけれども、その小さな問題、というよりもですね、実際、今、自主的に、振り返りというのを実施しているんですけれども、こちら最もその大きな、収穫としては、この各ユニット、大学の中のユニットだったりとか、そのいろんなところで取り組んでいることが、一貫して、一元に見れるこのコネクションが最も重要なのがコネクションなんですけれども、その全部でそのつながりが見れるということが、共通した、問題点が見れるということが最も、重要なんじゃないかなというふうに、小さな問題が全部つながっていて、反映して見えるということがとても重要なんじゃないかなというふうに思います。で、補足なんですけれど、その、取り組んでいるそのオンラインで、コーヒー、飲みながらっていう、取り組みなんですけれども、そこで本当に、その人道的なことが皆さん発言をされていたりとか、たくさんの今まで気がつかなかったトピックも、提言されていて、そういったような、小さな積み重ねが、最も重要なんじゃないかなというふうにおっしゃられています。
ありがとうございます。コミュニケーションというか、教員、アドミニストレーターの方々がですね、こういうトピックスについて、ユニバーシティボランティリーのレポートに関係なくですね、お話しできる環境ができているというのは非常に見習わないといけないなというふうに思いました。ありがとうございます。
Thank you for your comment. So I understood that I guess it's the communication. So the faculty, administrator, and the students, not only do they have an opportunity to report their voluntary SDGs initiatives at their universities, but to have this kind of informal environment to share about their SDGs activities and their thoughts. I thought that was very nice. And we in Japan would like to perhaps use that model to enhance the communication about SDGs? Thank you.
今、挙手を挙げている方が一人いらっしゃいますので、横田様に質問をしていただこうと思います。
We have one participant raising their hand. So Yokota-san, please over to you.
ありがとうございます。北海道大学の横田と申します。大変貴重な、ご講演ありがとうございます。私、質問したい点は、この、SDGs をこう大学運営に積極的に生かしていこうというふうに、考えられたのは、いつ頃からなのか、2015年に SDGs ができて、その後、その必要性って言いましょうか、生かそうと考えた経緯ですとか、何かが問題だったのかとかですね、それから今後の課題とか、そういったことについてお聞かせいただきたいと思います。あと、資料が、発表の資料をシェアできるのかっていうことについても教えてください。以上です。
Hello, this is Yokota from Hokkaido University. So thank you for the very precious talk that both of you gave. My question was about the timing of when you decided to proactively incorporate the SDGs into your campus operations. So SDGs was set in 2015. So after that, when exactly did you feel the necessity to incorporate in your campus activities and academic areas at the same time? How did it develop? Were there any issues? And what kind of issues do you see for the future? I also wanted to ask you whether it was okay for myself to be shared of the presentation materials. Thank you.
Well, first on the presentation materials, yes, and we spoke with the JUNBA organizers about sharing, so we're happy to share. So Camille, should I start? And
yeah, why don't you start with kind of how global affairs got started, and then I can chime in with some things from sustainability's perspective.
Okay. So we actually went back and started to document this when we did the voluntary university review, when different activities started to promote the SDGs at UC Davis. And this has been a journey, and much of it has been organically developed as we've gone along. Really there were some activities at UC Davis prior to 2019 on the SDGs, but as I mentioned is the case at many universities, they were often activities that were one event or one person or a unit would promote. And so it was really for the Global Affairs Office where I work, we really started to be much more intentional and active on the SDGs in starting in 2019. And how we started getting internationally involved in the SDGs was when we started to join the global networks that were emerging. And the first one we joined was UN Sustainable Development Network, because we were invited when the US chapter of that network launched. And then very soon around that time, the University Global Coalition launched. So there was a lot of activity starting at that time internationally with new networks and more attention in existing international higher education networks on the SDGs. So that really gave our office a global entry point to start working on the SDGs more intentionally. Camille, you want to speak to?
Thank you. Thank you.
Sorry, is it okay to interpret that portion?
Yes,
First,
please.
Okay. それではまず、ジョリンさんが話されたことを通訳させていただきます。そうですね、プレゼン資料については、JUNBAの皆様にも、共有を後ほどしていただく ことを了承しておりますので、大丈夫です。そちらについては。ですね、この BUR のレビューをしている際に、その過去、どのように UC デイビスで SDGs のアクティビティに取り組み始めたかということも文章化でまとめましたので、その時に振り返ったんですが、やはりその UC デイビス校での SDGs のアクティビティの展開がまさにジャーニー、旅のようなものだったかなと思います。で、ほとんどは有機的にいろんなものが進むにつれて、形が作られていったんですが、2019年に本格的に様々な活動を取り組み始めて、その前にもいくつかあったんですが、申し上げました通り、大体この一個人の方がやっていたり、一個のイベントがあったり、部門が一つ単独でやっていて、つながってはなかったんですね。で、グローバルアフェアーズオフィス、これは私が所属しているところなんですが、やはり意図的に、そして積極的に活動を始めたのは2019年以降でした。で、この世界的な潮流を見ますと、やはりその頃にこのグローバル的なネットワークもでき始めたんですね。まず最初に国連のサスティナビリティデベロップメントネットワーク。こちらが、アメリカのチャプター、アメリカのプログラムがリリースされた時がこの頃で、その時に私たちも参画をしました。で、同じ時期にユニバーシティの大学のグローバルネットワークコアリションも設立されまして、ですので、このような時期にそのグローバルでのネットワークの展開が SDGs に関してかなり積極的に展開されましたので、その時にグローバルオフィスとしてもタイミングがちょうどいいということで参画し始めて、SDGs に関して意図的というか、そうですね、積極的に、活動を進めておりました。はい、OK, thank you, Camille-san. Over to you.
Absolutely, thank you. For me, my first real awareness and introduction to the UN SDGs came at a conference I attended. I was keynoting together with the minister, deputy minister of the environment in Chile, the country Chile. And it was for their National Higher Education Sustainability Network. And I became very intrigued and came back and started speaking about the SDGs on campus and in my peer group across the University of California, all of the other sustainability officers, and started thinking about ways that we could begin to infuse the SDGs into our work. One of my colleagues that I met on that Chilean trip then came to have a knowledge exchange in my office in May of 2019. So fall of 2017, I learned about these, and spring of 2019, my Chilean colleague comes for a knowledge exchange. And we talk through ideas about infusing the SDGs, and he proposes that we bring them into the grant application for the student fee-funded Green Initiative Fund program that I spoke about earlier. And that was really the first insertion in directly, very intentional, very clear, very direct into our sustainability work. And from there, we've then been including in other ways. The STARS assessment tool that has the crosswalk with SDGs has been really important. In the UC, in the University of California, we have been doing a lot of work on sustainability relationship to diversity, equity, and inclusion, and climate and environmental justice. And then I've, not just me, others also have been framing that within the SDGs, because there's a very natural intersection in the SDGs for that. And so I think those were the kind of moments of introduction. If you want to interpret that, and then I can speak to what I think of as future things, would that be okay?
Thank you. はい、カミールです。私自身が初めて意識的に SDGs と思ったのが2018年にチリでの国際会議でキーノートスピーカーとして講演をしたんですが、こちらは環境、そうですね、チリの環境、副 副大臣の方ですとか、あとはチリの国立のサステイナビリティに関する高等教育のプログラムに取り組んでいる方々が参加されたコンファレンスだったんですが、こちらで内容を聞いて本当に自分自身としても素晴らしいなと思ったんですね。で、その後に自分もアメリカに戻って大学、または同僚のカリフォルニア大学のサステイナビリティオフィスの他のキャンパスのオフィサーの方と SDGs について積極的に話すようになりました。で、翌年の2019年の5月なんですが、チリでのコンファレンスで出会った同僚の方がアメリカに来て、私たちでSDGs に関するナレッジのシェアリング、エクスチェンジをしたんですね。で、その時彼の提案で、その生徒さんの活動SDGs の活動を支援するような助成金、これに申し込んだらどうかということで、プレゼンで申し上げた通り、グリーンインベストメントトラスト TGIですか、こちらの助成金プログラムを開始しました。ですので、この時に初めて直接的な明確なビジョンというか、自分として自分のサステイナビリティの、活動にどのように SDGs を盛り込むことができるか、この理解、認識を、いたしました。STARS はやはり SDGs とかなり関連することもありますし、カリフォルニア大学全体でサステイナビリティについて、例えば気候ですとか環境的な公正さですとか、あとはもちろん、そうですね、ダイバーシティ、エクイティ、インクルージョンについてはもともと取り組んでいたんですが、これを SDGs とどのように関連づけるか。やはり SDGs と、もともと関連性はたくさんありますので、これを紐づけて積極的に、そのあたりから、取り組んでまいりました。はい。
And for future, and then Jolynn, I'll ask if you have future things. I think that for the future, deepening our assessment work, so more and more thorough and more sources for the qualitative and quantitative sources for how we are performing on the SDGs will be important at UC Davis. I think continuing this work of infusing the SDGs into our plans and our work, being very intentional about it, educating our committee members about the SDGs and how they can fit into our work and inform our work will be important. And then I think the third thing is I have heard some fear and criticism that the SDGs will end in 2030, and that's not that far. That's only 7 years away. So maybe we should not put too much effort in or too much focus on the SDGs. I think that is a faulty notion. I think that the SDGs have a lot of strengths and a lot of power that will carry them well beyond 2030. Maybe I'm optimistic, too hopeful, but I think that they will persist. So Jolynn, do you want to add anything?
Yes, and I think that part of the question might have been how we determined to do a VUR. And one thing that I think is very important and unique about our approach that Camille and I have presented at UC Davis is that we've been able to be very nimble and flexible because we didn't establish rigid structures for what we were going to do with the SDGs. We've reacted to opportunities and thought ahead about how we could collaborate in creative ways. And then we've taken that learning in and then applied it to new things that we're doing. So a lot of what we learned from and we heard from faculty during the VUR process, we've use to improve our faculty grants program. So we're using the information, we're on a learning journey with this process together, but I think it's been really beneficial for us that we haven't created structures that impede us from being creative or being able to take new opportunities as they come up and do those. So I wanted to mention that, Camille, about our approach.
I think that's a really fantastic point, Jolynn. I echo that. I love this quote, or it's actually a paraphrase of Louis Pasteur, the famous scientist. Luck favors the prepared mind. And I think that we do the preparation with the VUR and surveys and other tools. And then that gives us this opportunity to seize, or it gives us this foundation to seize opportunities that come up and even create opportunities.
For the interpreter, maybe do that part and
Yes, okay. まず、ジョリンさんですね。すみません。カミールさんですね。失礼しました。そうですね。今後についてなんですが、まず、やはりその評価の仕方について、より深掘りしていきたいと思っています。BUR をする際に、定量的にも定性的にも、データのソースを、より多く収集できるようにしたいということと、より細やかなレポート、報告、分析などをしていきたいとは思っています。で、2つ目としてですが、やはりこの SDGs をより非常に意図的に今後ですね、大学でのティーチング、またはそのキャンパス上のプランニングに導入していきたいと思っています。やはりその教員の方にもより教育というかトレーニングもしていきたいと思っています。で、3つ目なんですが、その SDGs、いろいろ懸念の声も周りから上がっているんですね。SDGs が2030年で終わってしまうのではないかという批判でして、ですので、あと7年しかないので、それほど尽力、リソースを割く必要は、フォーカスする必要はないんじゃないかという批判の声とか、あと、そういった懸念もあるんですが、私としては SDGs はやはり強みになりますし、今後も力になり続けると思いますし、2030年以降も、失礼しました。継続してできるコンセプトだとは思います。私が非常に楽観的なのかもしれないんですが、継続して展開できるような取り組みだとは思っております。で、ジョリンさんなんですが、ですね。その BUR について私たち、UC デイビス校ではかなりユニークなアプローチを私とカミルで取っています。なぜかというと、きちっとしたストラクチャー、構造を最初から決めずに、かなり柔軟的にいろんなことを行っているんですね。なので、例えば、この教員の方に様々なことを聞いて、そこから得たラーニング、教訓などを、使いまして、じゃあ今後どうしたらいいかといったクリエイティブに考えて新しいことを展開しています。ですので、その教員に対しての BUR のレビューですね、こちらから得られた知見を使って、現在実はその教員の方の助成金ですね、こちらのプログラムの改善向上を図っています。ですので、みんな一緒に、ラーニングジャーニーというか、一緒に学んでいきましょうといったことで、しっかりとした、あまりきちっとしたストラクチャーを設けずに、クリエイティブになって、新しいチャンスを導入できる、枠組みにするのがいいかもしれないです。で、カミールさんですが、最後に、私も全く同感だと思います。ということで、科学者のパスチュールさんですかの、有名な名言として、luck favors the prepared mind ということで、ラック、ラッキーなことというのは prepared mind、この自分のマインドセットが整えてあればあるほど、そのラッキーなことが起きると、それが自分の幸運につながるということで、様々なサーベイなどをしてるんですが、それを私たちも良いチャンスがあればそこを掴んで、今後の活動に展開して使っていきたいと、そういった気持ちでやり続けております。
I can just mention two things for future or going in that we're working on now. I did mention the campus global strategic plan, and because we did this VUR process, I think it does give us a very expanded view of what we can do with campus strategies and plans. So as the campus had been developing that global strategic plan, and we're starting to think about, well, when we're tracking our progress on that plan, what kind of data are we asking for from units across the campus? And wouldn't it be great if, when we're asking for data for other things like that plan or others, that we align it to the SDGs, so that we could continue to have information flowing in, that we can track our progress as the years go by. So we've been really looking at that as we think about implementing a plan that's going to require us to ask units for information about what they're doing globally every year. So we have been paying a lot of attention to that. And then we just see so many opportunities for students, and so much interest from students on campus. And it can be very overwhelming to think, for students to think how they can engage on these big issues and how far they are in Davis from New York or Washington, D.C., or other places where they perceive the decisions are being made. And so the giving them a better understanding of how to use the 2030 agenda and how to learn about the interconnected issues, and leaving no communities behind, and all of these principles, and applying them and working together with people that may have different perspectives from them. It's all so important for their learning. So just trying to figure out ways to promote that and support that more, I think is really something that we feel very, very committed to doing.
Thank you. はい。通訳でさせていただきます。はい。今の、一点補足なんですけれども、我々が戦略的なプランの中でですね、すでに、BUA という、導入をしていて、そういったような、キャンパスでの、グローバルプラン、グローバルのレベルで、そういった、活動はすでに可能になったんですけれども、ただ引き続きですね、どのようにデータをトラッキングしていくのかが、まだまだやらないといけないこと結構たくさんあります。ユニット、各ユニットから、今で収集できているデータのみならずですね、引き続きペイアテンションと言ってたんですけれども、引き続きそのデータを、持続可能に、今後のプランニングにもつなげられるようなその抽出をしていきたい、グローバルレベルで抽出していきたいというふうにおっしゃられています。でそれから生徒の皆さんなんですけれども、おそらくキャンバスに対しての、関心がどんどんこれから上がっていきます。でそういった中で、我々の現在の取り組みが、とても、広範囲ですので、結構いっぱいいっぱいになる可能性もあるんですけれども、たくさんの内容があってですね、それとニューヨークだったりとか、DC だったりとか、そういった遠い、ところとの取り組みとの連携、距離の中できちんとデータが、皆さんの取り組みが連携されているかどうかという点でもあるのかもしれないんですけれども、そういうことも、学生の皆さんにどのように今後サポートしていくのかが我々にとって最も重要な課題です。で、2023年、2030年までの問題提起はたくさんあるんですけれども、引き続きですね、そのコミュニティとの協力だったり、そのプリンシプルの理解だったりとか、で、さまざまな法医が、ところから学生の皆さんに対して見解が違っていたりとか、そういったのを は困るのかもしれないですけれども、引き続き我々の方からは、そういったサポート、プロモーション、推進ですね、その引き続き、この取り組みを推進していくというのは意図であります。ちょっと駆け足になりましたけれども、すみません。Thank you very much.
ありがとうございます。
はい、ちょっと時間の都合で通訳のお二人の方、ありがとうございました。逐次通訳は以上、ここまでの時間になります。で、ちょっと他のご質問も来られてはいたんですけれども、ちょっと時間の都合で以上とさせていただきたいと思います。後ほど、Director Shoemaker and Director Kirk, may we send other questions by email?
Sure.
Yes,
Yes.
definitely.
Thank you so much. そう、ちょっと引き続き質問のある方はメール等でもご対応しますので、そういった形でご容赦願います。では、Jolynn Shoemaker様、Camille Kirk様、三宅会長の先生、ありがとうございました。ちょっと最後、駆け足になってしまって申し訳ございませんが、最後に中別府事務局長より閉会のご挨拶とさせていただきます。
First of all, I would like to express my sincere thanks to Director Jolynn Shoemaker and Director Camille Kirk for sharing the topics of building university commitment and action towards the UN SDGs by UC Davis. I believe that your presentations will be of great help to Japanese universities, how to improve their commitment and action towards the SDGs. Thank you very much. JUNBA 勉強会は当初、JUNBA会員と関連機関を対象に開催しておりましたが、コロナ禍の影響で多くの会合のオンライン開催が主流となってきたこともあり、昨年度よりすべての国公私立大学の皆さんに広く参加を呼びかけ、オンラインで開催しております。おかげさまで今回も50名を超える方の多くの方に参加していただきました。誠にありがとうございます。昨年の夏の1回のセミナーでは、私立大学からの参加が少なく、また、公立大学からの参加者は皆無でした。そこで、周知の方法を増やすなど、改善に今回取り組んでまいりました。おかげさまで今回は、私立大学からの参加登録も10名を超え、また、公立大学からも数名の方に参加登録いただきました。今後もテーマの設定、さらに広報の方法などを含めて、理事会でよく検討し、私立大学と公立大学の皆さんにも参加しやすいセミナーを目指したいと考えております。今回も講演がすべて英語ということで、同時通訳を導入いたしましたが、いかがだったでしょうか。少し時間が質疑応答に足りなかったということはありますけれども、英語でのオリジナルの講演につきましては、今後オンラインで録画を公開予定です。ご自身で英語の講演をご確認いただくだけでなく、本日参加できなかった同僚の皆さんにもぜひご紹介いただければ幸いです。また、質問、まだ何人かいらっしゃいましたが、Eメール等でシューメーカーさんとカミルさんには対応していただけますので、そのようにお願いできれば助かります。冒頭のJUNBAの概要証明のところでも申し上げましたように、JUNBAでは随時会員を募集しております。JUNBAの会費は無料ですので、会員の、また、会員の皆様のお手元にも様々な有料な情報をお届けいたしますので、ぜひご入会いただければと思います。最後に、今後のJUNBAのイベントの改善のために、アンケートにご協力のほどよろしくお願いいたします。以上で、第2回JUNBAセミナーを終了させていただきます。本日は最後までどうもありがとうございました。Thank you very much for joining.
Thanks so much, you guys. That was great.
中別府事務局長、ありがとうございました。
Thank you. Thank you for inviting us.
No, my pleasure. Hope I can see you again soon. All right. どういたしまして。
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye for now. Yeah.
Thank you so much. Bye-bye.
Thank you for nice presentation. Thank you.
You're very welcome. Thank you for inviting us.
Thank you so much to join this seminar until it ends, actually. Thank you, Camille Kirk.
アンケートにつきましては、スライドに表示されている QR コードもしくは Zoom ウェビナーを退出する際に、自動でアンケートページに移りますので、いずれかからご回答いただければ幸いです。より良いセミナーとするため、ぜひ忌憚のないご意見をいただけますようお願いいたします。次年度も年2回のセミナーを開催予定ですので、こちらもぜひご参加ください。本日はお忙しいところご参加いただき、誠にありがとうございます。
では、退出いたしますので、皆さんお疲れ様でした。
ありがとうございまし
では
た。
どうも失礼いたします。また9日によろしくお願いいたします。
よろしくお願いしま
どう
す。
も。
すみません、三宅です。JUNBAの事務局の方、ちょっと残っていただいててもいいですか？少しご相談したいことがあります。
今これもう終わってます？
いや、まだです。
終わってないです。